So we're live. Blair, welcome to Covered, the podcast.
Thank you.
And we're here talking about the health co-op. Blair, can you describe for listeners your role here at the co-op? And I should add that we, for those watching the video, that we are at the headquarters.
Yes.
This is actually Richard's office, who's episode 1.
At our CEO, Richard Miltenberger's office here in Helena. We just bought a building in the last 6 months. So it's really cool for us to be able to invest back into the community by purchasing a building. It's a place members can come.
That's really exciting.
Place. Yeah.
Members can come and just like grab some coffee and whip up an espresso.
Exactly. No, we have members that come in and they'll pay their bill or they'll sign up for coverage, but we've got a lounge type area. So we'll have people that come in and just want to chat and hang out. And so we'll have a couple people that come in every month, and we have some great conversations with them, and people will stop what they're doing and meet out there. And
talk about a differentiator.
Yeah.
So people are stopping by.
Yep.
What are some funny things or some interesting things that people are coming by to talk about, other than maybe paying their premium, but just...
Yeah, so we have a variety of people that will come in, members, and they come in specifically every month to either pay their premium or to check on their coverage, ask questions, but they'll come every month, and then we'll just end up chatting with them. So we have this great lounge area, and our staff will come out. And I should say we're a staff here of 12, and we're serving here in Montana. In Montana, we're serving about 24,000. In Idaho, we're close to 14,000, and we have a full staff between Idaho and Montana of only 23 people.
That's amazing.
So the people here are doing a lot of work, but we'll have staff come out and members will be here. We'll talk anything about local sports, what's going on in town. We've got some farmers that come in when they're coming through Helena, and they'll come in. We'll talk about pulse crops or whatever's going on. And it's so great because it's just a chance for us to communicate and be one with our members, which is really important for us in our mission of who we are.
Yeah. I picture some of the big insurance companies fielding customer support calls in like a basement of cubicles. I don't know if this is accurate, but that's just the vision that I get.
That's what you think of when you think of insurance agencies or companies. You're thinking of these big conglomerate, hundreds of people. But here at the co-op, we're the little co-op that could. And we have people who call. We have this guy who speaks Ukrainian, and he will call, and he needs help with getting access to other services. And so we have a woman here on staff who has helped him not only with his services here, but figuring out real estate and how to rent a house and how to get his kids in school. And so when he went back to Ukraine, he sent a huge box to one of our members or to one of our staff people here,
that's
just
amazing.
As a thank you so much for helping me and taking the extra time. And
like finding real estate in Helena, Montana is not in the scope of the health insurance plan that this individual probably signed up for, but just a great example of going above and beyond. It reminds me Zappos, the shoe company. I remember that they have a policy, they field just so many support calls. I need to return these shoes, it's the wrong size, but every once in a while they get sort of a quirky phone call. And you can actually look this up, and they'll do commercials off of real recordings of customer delight phone calls, but somebody like ordered a pizza. They're like, hey, can you order pizza from Chicago? I'm here and I need you to deliver it to my house, and they did it. Anyway, just kind of reminded me of that going above and beyond. Field. You can now call the co-op and order.
We'll send you pizza.
We should have like a disclaimer, like limit of one per customer. So Blair, we didn't talk about your position here and what your role here is. Can you brief our listeners on what it is exactly that you do here?
Yeah, so I'm a lot like many of the staff here where you wear multiple hats. So I do PR, marketing, engagement with members, government relations,
Many hats.
I integrate with the board of trustee or the board of directors, which are made up of members. So that's what makes us a little bit different is we are governed by a board of directors, which is voted on and comprised of MHC members, so health co-op folks from across the states.
The mayor and a senate. These are members contributing to this larger health co-op.
Yeah, who all have the same shared vision as we do. We want to make health insurance accessible for all Montanans, regardless of where you live or who you are.
Mm-hmm. It's a powerful mission, I think, in part because it's so simple that everyone can kind of nod their head as you're saying that. Like, yeah, that makes sense to me. What are some ways, just kind of backtracking in your life, that health insurance has played a role? So you found yourself here at the co-op. You've clearly bought into the program that's being operated here, that continues to grow, thousands of members across these 2 states. But before that, can you think of a time in your life where, okay, maybe the first time you had health insurance and you're like, this is kind of cool? Or can you talk a little bit about that and why health insurance is important to you?
Yeah, so I learned about health insurance at a really early age. My dad went through kidney failure, and it was a traumatic experience just from having your dad being so sick and having to have a kidney transplant, and but also losing everything. It was the first time, as kids, you don't realize whether or not you have money or you don't. I mean, kids just love the environment they're in. And I remember we had this really nice house, and my mom owned a restaurant. My dad was a teacher, and he went through kidney failure, had the transplant, and we lost everything. We went into bankruptcy, we lost our house, we lost everything because we couldn't afford all the medical bills that incurred during that time. And so that's when I really realized that your health directly correlates with your finances and things. It takes one catastrophic event really to change your life, not just almost losing somebody, but the toll and the aftermath of those hospital bills. And so that's how I first realized what insurance was. Now, I've been very lucky because I've always had jobs that provide insurance. And so, when I first was looking for a job, my parents were, what kind of insurance do they have? What kind of coverage are you going to get? And so looking through all those details, and I'll be honest with you, I still don't understand what some of these plans, they
It's
just
complicated.
it's so complicated, and it doesn't need to be. I just want to know that if something happens to me and I go to the hospital,
right,
I'm going to be covered.
And I can maybe have a phone number that I can talk to a real person,
Yes.
someone that's not 20 states away, but that understands my community and what do I need to do next.
Exactly.
And then even more importantly, well, not more importantly, but even as complicated are the steps after you receive the care. It's like, okay, now what do I need to do? How do I file this claim? How do I get paid back in a prompt manner for some of these expenses that came out of pocket? Yeah, that's powerful. Thanks for sharing that, Blair. I think a lot of people are closely connected to health insurance because it impacts their lives in a way different than just, oh yeah, I got an offender bender once and I had to use car insurance. Like there's, of course, that's an impossible thing to compare. But so early on making that decision, I think you mentioned, jobs with health insurance. One of the things that we've talked about kind of off air is employers that offer health insurance have such an advantage over those that don't. I know that if you have more than, I think it's 50 employees right now, you're required to offer it. But a lot of these companies now that are vying for top talent, it's really a requirement to get, the best people can help in your team move forward. Can you talk a little bit about how the co-op works with businesses, or if that's kind of something that's rolling out a little bit later?
Yeah, so we work with businesses large and small to provide coverage for their employees. It's a lot like individual coverage, the same kind of benefits that we give our individuals, comprehensive quality care. But it's something that we know businesses value. And they want to be able to say, I'm looking out for my team and their family. And when you have insurance, you can rest easier and you can do a better job because that's not something you're stressed out about.
It's not occupying your brain. Like, okay, I need to be thinking about this.
And employers and especially small business owners, they have so much to worry about. You just want to sell your goods on Main Street. You don't want to have to think about insurance and all these things that take up so much space in your brain. You want to know that you've got an insurance company that's looking out for you, that's local just like you are, that wants to serve the people of the state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes total sense. And so if people are interested in, if someone's a small business owner and is interested in that insurance, head to the website is what you would recommend.
Yeah, head to the website, call us, come in.
Give a call, stop by if you're in Helena.
We're on the road. We've got agents on the road that are willing to drive and meet you and come and talk about what we have to offer. And we've got some really unique things. We give every member a free vision exam because we know there's so many things that can be caught by just having a vision exam. And so that's something, I mean, diabetes, certain cancers, and it's important for us to make sure our members are healthy. You're not just a paycheck to us. We want to make sure that you are healthy and we're catching things ahead of time, because if we lose a member, that's not just a member, it's somebody's dad or somebody's brother, or somebody's mom. And we take that really seriously here.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about other member stories that you've come across. You mentioned, the gentleman from Ukraine that had some help, obviously internally here from Helena. But are there any other stories that stick out to you? I know you've sent us a couple names of folks that we need to get on this podcast, like really powerful stories, but others that you just think, that you go home and you say, man, I'm working for the co-op. Like, this is such an important role and such an important thing we're doing here.
Yeah.
Can you think of any stories like that?
Oh my gosh, there's a ton of them.
Yeah.
But just two real quick stories. One was a woman and her daughter was in a boating accident, and she wasn't a member of ours. And her daughter needed all these surgeries. And when it came time for open enrollment, she called us and said, I don't like my current insurance. I'm scared. They don't communicate to me. I don't know what I'm doing. We have all these upcoming procedures. And we said, come here, we'll take care of you. And not only did she come here and we took care of her, but we've paid for them to fly, her and her daughter and her family. We've flown them to the right care. We've flown them down to Utah because they have nationally recognized care in these specific areas that this little girl needed to get these surgeries. We paid for the airfare. We arranged it for them. We arranged hotel. We arranged travel. We got a car seat for the other little sibling. We did it all, and they didn't have to keep receipts and get reimbursed. It was just, let us take care of this. It's one less thing. She called after one of the surgeries, and she thought we were going to say, okay, we need these receipts. And the first thing that our staff person said is, how are you? How are things going? How is so-and-so? Asking those questions. And do you need us to have our nurse follow up, or do you want one of our doctors to call? And, are you confused, or how can we make this better for you? So that's one story.
That's amazing.
Another one is we had a woman who was in a rock climbing accident, and she ended up losing an arm and a leg. And, we almost lost her, but we flew a private jet up here to take her and get the right care that she needed. And she didn't get billed for that part of the trip, because we knew it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, those are two powerful stories. Yeah. Just kind of humanizing exactly what's going on here. Mm-hmm. So thanks for sharing. Let's pivot. This is something that we're trying to ask all of our guests of Covered. So, piece of advice, somebody who is looking for health insurance, we talked with Richard a little bit about people who are underinsured, and he made the comment, it seems like most everybody these days is underinsured if they're on a plan that there's high deductibles, all these things. But for somebody who might be listening to this podcast, and the goal of this podcast is to help educate people of Idaho, people of Montana, how to get involved or how to enroll, or just some of the frequently asked questions. So advice that you would have for somebody who is maybe uninsured and looking to take those first steps. They're just in the shallow end. They're just like we talked about, it's complicated. There's a lot of steps. Where do you recommend somebody just take the first step, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So the first thing is, feel free to call us. Even if you don't end up buying insurance through us, call us. We don't talk in terms that you can't understand. We say, for example, if you had a $50,000 medical bill, here is how it would work with this plan, or here's what you would owe. The second thing is, when people go to buy insurance, they usually pick whatever's cheapest. But usually for a couple dollars more, you can get a way better plan, and it's like $5 a month. and
in addition to, yeah.
Yeah, and your deductible's way lower. I mean, and most people don't understand that they are eligible for a tax credit. So you go into the system, you have to buy your healthcare from either Your Health Idaho or healthcare.gov. That's where you compare plans. So people will be comparing plans and they'll say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. I don't have that money to pay every month. But keep going through the process, because at the end, you can get a tax credit. So most of our members pay $20-$30 a month for health insurance. But they don't realize that if you paid $4 more, you could get the gold plan.
Sure.
And so just
in the
think
long
about,
term
and
savings.
it would save you so much money. But again, if you just call us, we can walk you through that whole process and say, okay, gold plan, it would be X, and it's only $6 more than bronze. So you should just get that, considering your family and some of the activities you like to do. It's better to be covered.
Give a call.
Yeah, give us a call.
Talk to a real person.
Come in.
Come on, stop by if you're in Helena.
We've got locations in Helena and in Eagle, Idaho.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop in. We asked Richard about his first job. What was one of your first jobs? Maybe not your very first, but like what was one of your first jobs that you look back on and say, no, that's where I learned what a hard day's work was all about?
Oh my gosh, this is embarrassing, but I worked for the circus.
Circus?
Yes. So the circus would travel around during the summer, when you can get tickets to the circus, and they're like, we're in town.
Of course, the circus. It's like everybody's dream to work at the circus, right?
Yeah, but there's the fun jobs. You're a performer, you get to do cool things.
You were the trapeze artist? Yeah. Is that what you're going to tell us?
I am not. No. I got to help feed the people who worked at the circus.
You were
and
the
then
circus
clean up after them.
Caterer.
Yeah. Basically.
Okay.
It was.
But you traveled with the circus?
Traveled with the circus. And my brother was a trapeze artist in the circus. So I think that's how I got looped into it. It was more like a watch your brother, and also you're going to work.
And you traveled throughout the state of Montana, or this is a traveling circus like everywhere?
No, this traveled in the western states. So Washington, Idaho, Oregon.
Elephants tight. Now I'm fascinated. We need to change the
don't. We need to,
pivot from this question.
Okay. I don't look back fondly.
Okay,
on that
fair
job,
enough.
But
I'm
I
guessing
did learn a lot. So.
Yeah, the health insurance in the circus, not great, as I'm guessing.
I know how to handle a circus. That's all I'll say.
Cool. Okay. What do you think of Cirque du Soleil? Is it a circus, or
would
is
love
it?
To go.
Would you qualify it as a circus?
No.
Different.
Performing arts.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful art.
Cool. Question 2. What is a hobby that you enjoy in the mountain states that puts you at the most risk of using your health insurance?
Oh, I think just being a mom.
Being a mom, that's a great answer. Yeah.
My kids are frequent flyers of the medical system. My daughter recently had some severe burns on her hands, and you really don't realize what kind of insurance you have until you're in that situation. I mean, most of us, it's like, oh, we go in we have a runny nose or something. Finally, I'm going to go in, whatever. But I haven't ever had to use insurance the way I did with my daughter. And she's only a year old. She burnt her hands really badly. We went into the ER, and luckily for me as a co-op member, we have this great telemed service. So we were able to talk to top of the line, like best in the country burn specialists through this huge video monitor, and they were looking at everything and teaching us how to wrap things, and then they would be FaceTiming us and making sure we're okay, and checking in on my daughter.
In the ER, or this is at home, or
so
both?
This was originally in the ER.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is these folks in rural states, so Idaho and Montana, you're a farmer, rancher, small business person, something happens to you, we have great medical services throughout the states.
Sure.
But if you need somebody who is a specialized pediatric burn specialist, for example, we've got this telehealth.
That's amazing.
Which is so great because you're talking to somebody who is best in class. They see these cases all the time. They know what they're looking for, and they just comfort you, and they check in. I mean, they're still checking in, and it's been a couple months later. They're saying they've called me a couple of times and are like, how's your daughter? Is she okay? And We've actually become
cool.
friends because they've come to Helena to work through the hospital here to do some follow-up training. Took him to lunch. Like, it's just been a really great experience having this kind of insurance.
That's a great story. Well, I mean, it's not,
Yeah, I mean, you're not happy my
just
daughter
an
hurt
amazing
herself,
benefit.
but
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So the co-op is a come one, come all, for the people, by the people,
right,
kind of an organization. So the people that work here, we're locals. Everybody here gives back to the community in one way or another. We have volunteer days. It's encouraged to take off time during the year to go and volunteer at organizations. My husband, my in-laws have a ranch here, and so that's something that we're constantly up visiting and watching how hard ranchers and farmers work in this state. And it makes me so happy to know that we have a product that not only celebrates that kind of lifestyle, but protects those people no matter what. And we always have their back. And that's something that makes us different than everybody else. We're a community, and we know that together we're stronger and we're looking out for each other. And that's just the way. That's the Idaho way. That's the Montana way.
Yeah.
And everybody that works here embodies that.
That's a powerful message. Blair, thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed it. I know that our listeners will enjoy that episode and get just a ton of value. So thanks again.
Thank you.